I'm not even looking at the camera. Jesus Christ.
Boom! What's up, everybody? I'm Paulie, this is Dom G, and we're with the Reverse Shrimp Company. Today we're excited to show you some reaction-based finishes from the Closed Guard that are pretty cool. So let's get into it.
My favorite submission from the guard is the triangle, and I could do a whole video on triangles, but we already have. So if you haven't checked that out, I'm gonna go ahead and link that in this description here. So we're gonna skip that for today. Definitely check out that video if you haven't. We're gonna start here with just your kind of day one setups. And again, we're looking at reactions and we're trying to create reactions to hit our sweeps, to hit our attacks. So what I'm gonna do is I need to break Paul down. And then last week's video, we did touch on this. Like, it'll be impossible for me to break Paul down by just pulling his arms off my body, or also just pulling my knees to my chest. I have to do it at the same time. I have to create a disconnect as I pull my knees to my chest, and that's what's gonna break Paul down. Like, so to get his hands to the mat here, what I'm gonna do is I could either go on top here and pull off as I pull my knees to my chest, or I could swim underneath. So I'm gonna swim underneath and get his hands to the mat. As soon as they do, I'm gonna sit up here as I check his shoulder to create some space and sit right into this Kimura, right? I'll throw my left leg over his back, keep it nice and tight, and start to work to get the finish. So one more time, swim underneath as I pull my knees to my chest. Post on his shoulder as I sit up, grab this Kimura grip, throw my left leg over his back and cut an angle to get the finish. Now you might get a stubborn opponent where they're gonna defend this Kimura, and this will lead right into the guillotine, right? So same setup, we swim, sit up, and now I feel his head is up in the air, but I'm never gonna be able to just reach around for this guillotine. I need to create a little bit of space. To do that, I'm gonna shrimp my hips out just an inch. That creates enough space for me to weave in my arm for this guillotine, close up my guard, and work to get the finish. Now, we got a little bonus setup for you. We'll take a different angle. For the Kimura, same setup, but this time I'm gonna take an overhook, right? So I'm gonna swim my hands underneath, pull my knees to my chest, and I'm gonna overhook this left arm, or his right arm. I'm gonna grab his wrist, open my guard, and get my shin right underneath his elbow. What I wanna do is I wanna elevate his elbow above his back, and that's my trigger. I'll abort the overhook and go right to the Kimura here. And his arm is already off the mat, which makes this super powerful. I'll cut the angle, throw my right leg over the back, and get the finish.
That finish is there immediately, you guys. It's there immediately because, like Dom said, my arm is already hanging up like a hangman. Sometimes you have a real stubborn opponent, you guys, and when you do, you're not able to get their hands to the mat. Everything I've tried, I was having a hard time. And I want to stay active, right? So I'm going to go a 2-on-1 on Dom. I was trying to pull off here, bring my knees to my chest, all the different things Dom had mentioned. But I'm gonna go a 2-on-1 here. When I do, I lift my hips up in the air, right? And that helps me get a disconnect from my hip here. When I do, I simultaneously bring my knees to my chest, guiding his wrist to my hand. When I do, I have a good angle here, right? A favorable angle. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to do the flower sweep. I'm going to attempt to do the flower sweep here, right? But I wanted to get a reaction, and that's what I'm looking at. This is a reaction based. I go underneath, right? And as I do, I want to start to kind of pull to get this flower sweep, but I'm not able to because he drops his weight. Watch what I do here, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my left leg over his head, but when I do, right, and I'm only able to do this because he dropped his weight here, I'll let go of his wrist. When I let go of his wrist just for a second, he can't pull his arm out here. I can throw my left leg over his head. I want to go over the top of his wrist and finish with the armbar, right? And when I do, notice when I lift and elevate my hips, I'm not just lifting them. Watch what goes on here with my legs. I turn to the side slightly, right? I can still bite down with my right one, but the left one, watch his head as I turn and I bite down. Oh man, I come through. I could even drop him down to the mat here. right? And I'm not even holding his arm, right? But if I did, I'm up and I go for the finish, bam, right? Now, for some reason, if he decides, yeah, to crunch up here, it's not a problem. I'm still gonna start to lift up just a little bit, not enough to break his grip here on his left arm, but I'll let go. I'll hip up a little bit and grab his elbow and start to finish with this armbar here, right? And I'm sure he'll start to kind of like freak out. I can go back to this one and finish, right? If not, it's all right. Let's say I start to really lose it. And what happens is he pulls his left arm out. When he does, I automatically tuck, I'll push against his elbow, but what's most important is his wrist here, right? But when I do, I'm elevating my hips to keep him down when I do that. Once I do, you'll see me switch to the Omoplata here. When I get here, you can see he can start to, if he wants to roll, but I cover his legs here, extend him out. When I extend him out, that gives me enough room, or leverage rather, to sit up. And that's my opportunity right here. I could try to break him down. I don't even mess with that, breaking a guy down. What I'll do is I'll stick the key into the door, right, which it's in, and then I'll turn it. Right, once I turn it and I trap his elbow here, this is just so super tight here, you guys. I'm just gonna hold over his shoulder here. All depending on where his hands are, I'm gonna sit up for the finish here, right? Real simple finish. I don't wanna sit up high. I'm going to bring my chest to my knee, nice and close, and I get the finish, right there. So once again, right, I lift up, bringing my knees to my chest simultaneously, feeding his wrist to my hand. I'll dive underneath here. Once I dive underneath here, right, I can tell he dropped his body weight. I start circling through and bringing my left leg over his face, right? I'm going to bite down right away, grabbing his wrist and finishing, right? As I finish, I turn and bite down, but he grabs the back of my head, right? When he does, I can finish here, right? Just by turning my ear to my shoulder and grabbing his elbow here and finishing. If he pulls his arm out, no problem. Look at, I push his wrist inside, right? I extend out. As soon as I do, I can pull my arm out, covering his hip. And you can see here, I wanna make sure I got his elbow, right? I put the key in the door, I turned it, right? And I sit right up to the finish. If you can reach, I can go underneath his shoulder here. We'll circle a little bit. I can go underneath his shoulder to hold him, right? As I'm sitting up, right? Just the cup. It's hard for me to reach his wrist here, but I'll just finish just by bringing my knees to my chest once again and getting the finish. So again, it's reaction based. So I don't always get the wrist here, you guys, right? So these are 2 arm bars I like to hit, right? From that flower sweep position, right? And the second one is, I do the same thing, I lift up, I bring him across, but I'm not able to grab his wrist here because he's stubborn, right? So what I do is, I have a favorable angle, I reach up and grab his back here. He's gonna wanna start to posture. When he does, I go over his arm and under his leg. This one is extremely tight, so be careful when you guys do this with your opponent. In competition, it doesn't matter, but in the gym, be careful. You can see his arm, the way it's crossed, and I'm over his arm with my arm. I throw my leg over his face, and I hip up for the finish. It'll be the same thing. If he pulls out, it's all the same. All right, for the first one. So again, this one is really, really cool, right? I come through, I'm like, oh man. I sit up. As I start to sit up, he wants to kind of start to posture, and that's exactly what I want to pull. He wants to pull his arm out. But I dive underneath his leg, over his arm, pushing his face away, bringing my leg up super high, right over, biting and getting the finish. And again, I could do the same thing if he pulls his arm out, right? I can go right for the Omoplata again. There's tons of different things you can hit from there.
Sometimes you have extremely stubborn opponent, right? You're not able to get the 2-on-1, not able to pull their arm across the body, not able to get their hands to the mat. And then that's where we hit your high guard.
So we'll hit the high guard, guys. And so here's the thing, man, I'm not able to break him down, lift up, man, but I'm still lifting and getting reactions, guys, moving over. I'll still grab his wrist here. As I do, it's just for control. I'll lift a little bit and drop. You'll see me lift, hip out just a little bit. And he can keep his hands here, right? Lift, boom. Now you'll see me open my guard right over his shoulder. I want to make sure I keep his elbow on the other side of my groin. I don't want him to pull it through. If he does, I'll lose it, right? I'm gonna grab his palm here, right? I'm gonna push his face away just a little bit, and I'm gonna lift up and get the slot machine, guys. This was another one that's super powerful. If you throw your hips up right away and you start to lift and put everything together, it's not good form, right? So I'll do the same thing. I'm like moving, bam, I'm tucking in just a little bit, throwing over his shoulder, right? Pinching. I can push his face if I want. Sometimes the guy wants to kind of come forward and I'll push his face away, but it doesn't make a difference. Once I'm here, I'm pinching my knees together on his shoulders, right? At the same time, I have his wrist glued to my chest. I don't want to just lift up, and I'm not going to have it. So when I lift up, I turn to the side, right? If he decides, maybe I do it and he starts shimmying his shoulder in, man, I can feed it and go right in to my flower sweep, right? Go underneath and do the same thing, right? Maybe I miss it and I come back again. Maybe I start attacking this one. There's so many different things I can do there. You know, show them one after another. So you don't have to do them in that sequence. If you like to throw one up then the other, one arm bar, one sweep attempt, you can do that. You know, you don't have to be in that particular sequence.
Yeah. So again, I think it's important that you stay active in the guard. I know we mentioned it last week. Jiu-jitsu works in cycles. You're either playing offense or you're playing defense. The longer you can stay on offense, the longer your opponent's mind is going to be stuck on defense. If you're just sitting there, it's only a matter of time before the opponent breaks your guard, and then your position is getting worse and worse and worse. So staying active is extremely important, and hopefully we shared some tools with you to keep you on the offense. So thank you so much if you've subscribed. We appreciate all the love and support that you guys are showing us. We love making this content for you. Let us know what you want to see in the future, and we'll catch you next time. Peace.